Does it make sense to spend $2,885 in annual fees on 5 premium travel credit cards? And another $500 on 2 mid-tier cards? I get that question a lot. That's a total of $3,385 in annual fees and a whole lot of metal. Only last week, I released a video laying out a $0 annual fee Capital One travel card trifecta. So I've gone from $0 in annual fees to $3,385. Is this week a pivot? Not at all. The beauty of travel credit card optimization is that there are layers to the game. Last week was all about getting into the game with a $0 trifecta with travel partners. This video is about elevating the game with access to luxury and aspirational travel. And these premium cards make it all happen. Keep in mind, I also hold a slew of $150, $95, and $0 annual fee cards, but they're mostly workhorse cards. Here are my 5 premium cards. The American Express Platinum, which comes in at $695 in annual fees. The American Express Platinum Business, also at $695. The Chase Sapphire Reserve at $550. The American Express Hilton Aspire, also at $550, and the Capital One Venture X at $395. My babies. And let's not leave out my 2 mid-tier cards, the American Express Delta Platinum at $250, and the American Express Gold card, also at $250. Some of you might consider this $3,385 price tag to be hefty, especially if you're on Team Cashback. Stick around and I'll explain why I hold each of these cards. I'm an avid traveler, and premium credit cards greatly enhance my travel experiences. There are a few other premium cards which interest me, but I'll be targeting those in 2024. I'll likely release a year-end video with my credit card strategy for the first 2 quarters of 2024. Once you get the travel bug, the world just seems smaller. Locations like Mauritius and Seychelles suddenly seem attainable. I have a confession to make. I actually don't love flying. I love the destinations, the hotels, the experiences, the cultures, and most certainly the exotic foods. If you didn't know, I'm a big guy, and I love traveling with my Dalmatian, so my goal is to make traveling as comfortable as possible. By the way, I fly with my dog because he calms me down. I'm not that guy who shows up to the airport just in time, who then stresses out about making their flight. I need to ensure that the entire travel experience is not just stress-free, but enjoyable. And I'm willing to pay for it because my strategy of credit card optimization significantly reduces the effective annual fees of these cards. Let's get into the value that I'm able to extract from these premium cards. Note that I'm not going to get into the multipliers and the bonuses, just how I use these cards. Feel free to dive into any of my other videos where I break down the multipliers. I'm gonna lay out these benefits in the order that you're likely to experience them. The first benefit is clear. Trust me that once you've been escorted to the front of security, you will never again want to wait in line for upwards to an hour in busy airports. My Clear membership is through the American Express Platinum. Honestly, my first positive memories flying started off with Clear. The next benefit is TSA PreCheck. Perhaps it's just me, Lebanese guy with a beard, but TSA PreCheck can be random. My passport does say born in Lebanon. However, TSA reserves the right to randomly deny passengers PreCheck access. It's a nice perk for sure, but Clear is always foolproof for me whenever it's available. My American Express Platinum takes care of TSA PreCheck. Now for my favorite, lounge access. My go-to lounge is the Centurion Lounge. This benefit is also realized through the American Express Platinum card. There are definitely many instances, especially when traveling abroad, where there are no Centurion Lounge options. The Venture X affords access to Capital One lounges. Sure, there's a very small footprint of just 3, but it will only get better. I'll be accessing the Boston Logan Sapphire Lounge in January for the first time. This benefit is made available through my Chase Sapphire Reserve. Next is Delta Sky Club. The often slept on perk here is that you can access the lounge upon arrival. For most lounge cards, you can only access the lounge on departure only. But imagine coming in from a long flight, relaxing in a nice lounge, grabbing a meal, unwinding, before exploring the city. The American Express Platinum allows this access, but for the life of me, I don't understand why the Sky Club access isn't available through the Delta Platinum card. I'm not sure if Delta is low-key telling me and others to cancel our Amex Delta cards. So the theme here is that whenever possible, I like to use card-specific themed lounges. But my fallback here in the US are Priority Pass lounges. I tend to use Priority Pass through my Sapphire Reserve as it allows restaurant access, especially when the lounges are a tad crowded. This comes in handy when I'm just seeking a burger and a beer. You should note that not all Priority Pass memberships allow restaurant access. Next is travel insurance, the least sexy subject we're going to talk about. I've been extremely lucky here. I've only had to invoke my flight delay benefit once, and damage bag benefit also once. All my flights are booked through the American Express Platinum and the Sapphire Reserve cards, because 6-hour trip delay is a real thing. The only exception is my yearly jaunt to Vegas, where I book with my Amex Delta Platinum, driven primarily by the free companion certificate, which means that once a year you get to fly on Delta with a companion and their ticket is free. Next is priority boarding. Upgrading to business class via points affords me priority boarding. I'm currently in possession of just one airline card, the Amex Delta Platinum, and I flirted with the idea of acquiring the City Advantage card, but I'm not sure I want another airline card. I've also flirted with the idea of upgrading to the Amex Delta Reserve at $550, but I just can't find the value. If any of you out there own the Amex Delta Reserve, I'd love to learn how you use it to realize upsized value. Since my Dalmatian is a certified service dog, whenever I fly with him, I get to board with the first group. Next, let's talk about premium stays. My strategy for 2023 was all about amassing tons of Hilton points, and I've succeeded. I've been able to consistently upgrade after booking standard rooms at Hilton's given my Hilton Diamond status by holding the Amex Hilton Aspire card. I encourage everyone to run the numbers on the Aspire. Its annual fee has just experienced a rate hike to $550, but the benefits are just great. The $400 resort credit coupled with the $100 experience credit allows you to claw back $500 without even taking into consideration the annual free night certificate. I must add, however, that the $200 airline credit doled out with $50 per quarter is 100% annoying, but I'll let it slide because I know that I'll be able to claw back $600 each year. Vegas is my perfect use case for using American Express fine hotels and resorts, as well as the Hilton Resort credit each year. As for Marriott, premium stays are achieved by transferring American Express points to Bonvoy hotels. I'm gonna explore a Marriott Duo in 2024, but I need to be convinced that it's worth it. If any of you out there are Marriott loyalists, I'd love to hear your tips in the comments. Alright, so let's recap the experiences so far. So you show up at the airport and you go through Clear and then TSA PreCheck, have a nice meal at the lounge, enjoy some priority boarding, and then enjoy premium stays at luxury hotels. But you gotta come back home sometime, and that's where global entry comes in. I'm not quite sure why many folks aren't taking advantage of this perk. I have family members with premium travel cards, but they've never considered global entry or TSA PreCheck for that matter. But these appointments can be had on the spot when you return to the US. To get your global entry membership, in addition to the application and the background check, you have to show up to an in-person interview at one of their locations. My sense is that post-pandemic, it was difficult to get an interview, but these appointments can be had when returning to the US from an international trip. When I showed up for my interview, Hughes and I got off a 16-hour flight and he hadn't gone to the bathroom the entire time. But I had been trying to get an appointment for months with no luck. So I looked at Hughes and I said, "You're gonna have to hold it in a little longer." So we walked into the office, there was no one there. We sat down, he took my fingerprints, asked me a couple questions, and was done in about 2 minutes. A week or so later, I got my global entry card in the mail. There are many use cases where US immigration is relatively quick, but I've seen nightmarish instances where lines were over an hour long. If any of your cards offer global entry, you need to make a plan to make it happen. By the way, folks, a couple months ago, I was in London and noticed that by virtue of having a US passport, I was able to fast track exiting London immigration. It was like automatic global entry. Are we behind? I wonder if that will ever happen in the US. I use all my premium travel cards given that they all have a strong use case. Here is the summary and usage. Flights, Amex Platinum and Sapphire Reserve. Lounges: Centurion Lounge is Amex Platinum, the Sapphire Lounge is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Capital One Lounge is a Capital One Venture X, and the Priority Pass is Chase Sapphire Reserve. For clear, global entry, and TSA PreCheck, it's Amex Platinum. For hotels, it's the Amex Hilton Aspire. For paid hotel bookings, it's the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Venture X. And for the free companion certificate, it's Amex Delta Platinum. If you're committed to travel optimization and you have room in your schedule to actually travel, premium travel credit cards offer great value to make your experiences enjoyable and memorable. Thank you for watching how I use my premium credit cards. I hope some of my use cases apply to you. If you're interested in acquiring any of the premium cards laid out in this video, I'll place links to the cards in the description, or you may visit my website, boomacompany.com. Please help grow this young channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thanks again. Take care and be good to each other.